Welcome again. We'll be starting with the expected questions for computers and information technology. Now this section has become very important of recent because of the recent WannaCry and the Digital India motive. Because of that you have more and more focus on the digital systems, and as a result what is happening is there are issues related to cyber security that are coming up. So you have computers and the developments in the computers, the development in the securities of the computers that are coming into news these days. Now all these we would be publishing as updates in the current affairs section at Examrace. So if you are not finding it legible for some of the reasons or some of the sections, you can refer the update section at Examrace for the current affairs, and you can get all the handouts there. Now the first question is, the first important topic is the hawk's eye. Now this has been a question in 2014-15 sometimes. So what is important here is to understand this technique has been used exclusively in sports, and the basic idea behind this was this works on the technique of triangulation. So you have 4 or 5, 6 cameras that are being installed, and by means of triangulation you locate out a point, and that information is transmitted to the umpire in less than half a second, and he can assess whether the ball was in the pitch, or he can basically, it helps to give a second opinion on the same. So this is mainly used in the sports like cricket, tennis and football. It was developed in United Kingdom by Dr. Paul Hawkins and implemented for the first time in 2001 for the television purposes of cricket. We have already talked about how this works. So you have the system and you have the ball that crosses the line, and within half a second the information is transmitted. You have the 6 cameras that are installed, and by the method of triangulation of the you have the result that comes out, and finally you can judge whether the person was out or not. The next is community radio. Community radio is a kind of unique service where it is operated, owned and influenced by the community itself. The campaign first started in 1990s when there was an idea to legitimize the community radio. Later in 1995, Supreme Court gave a judgment where they said airways are public property and it should be allowed. And in 2002, you had the policy which was granted to set up license for the community stations. It was also established in the various educational institutes like IITs and IIMs. So it is now meant for commercial and public broadcasting. The next is big data and cloud computing. There is a bit difference between the two terms. Cloud computing is the infrastructure, or it provides the basic IT resources where you have the kind of big data that can be stored, and big data is the content. Now due to digitization you have a lot of data that's coming up with the social networks, the social medias, then you have the Facebook, Twitter. So all this data, all these web pages need to be stored somewhere in either a structured or an unstructured form, and that is what is big data, and this is done through the infrastructure system which is known as the cloud computing. The next is so that is how you have the storage system that works, and the next is Project Loon. This is very important. Now this project is a solar based project, and what the idea is to provide internet connectivity in the remotest area. So if there is no network coverage, it would connect automatically to the cell phone towers and then provide the network in the village areas. So that was the basic idea for the Project Loon. It has kind of big floating telecom balloons which are at a height of 20 kilometers, and each balloon has a wireless broadband internet coverage for 40 kilometers. So you have this as a sample. So you have a specialized internet antenna which sends the signal to the balloon sends the signal to the neighboring balloon, and finally you have the signal that reaches the ground station, and you have the internet access. This has been already tried in Tasmania. This is a very interesting topic, Mukhota. This is a kind of Mukhota that you can see on the territory on the coastal areas, and what happens is that this warns the foreign person who is entering into the borders of the idea that you have entered into a foreign land, and it would automatically alarm. It is based on GPS technology. It is GPS enabled and is coded to alarm whenever a person crosses the border. The next is cognitive radio. Cognitive radio is a form of wireless communication. So transceiver either detects which communication channel to use and which communication channel should not be used. So it's based to basically it tries to optimize the use of the available RF bands, the radio frequency bands. Based on this, you have application which is known as calculator that has been made by the terrorist outfits, and this can be worked on the off-air network especially designed by them. So you have the messages that can go on and off through this technology, and you can share the GPS location through the offline mapping system. So that is what is cognitive mapping or the cognitive radio system that works. Now this is again very interesting, the computer vision syndrome or digital vision syndrome. Now this deals basically with the high amount of people who are working with the IT sector and the computers. So you have a kind of whole day computer job, and what happens is due to the uninterrupted vision on the computers, there is kind of disease condition with headache, blurred vision, neck pain, redness of eyes, fatigue, so on and so forth. So there has come up a 20-20-20 rule, that is after every 20 minutes focus at a distance of 20 feet for 20 seconds or close your eyes for 20 seconds for every at least half an hour. So that is some kind of solutions that have been given to work around this problem. The next is hashtag activism. Hashtag is a common word that most of you have heard about. Now that the government of India is also promoting hashtags under various brands, you have been familiar with this term. So hashtag is nothing but liking or spreading a cause or a social, it's a kind of social activism where you try to promote or spread a word about something through the hashtag. So you can say hashtag and then you can put in the message and that is transmitted. So it's a kind of person to person communication and nothing more than sharing or liking the tweet. The next is Project Shield. This technology has been developed by Google. The idea is to protect the news portals and the news sites, and for that it's basically related to human attacks from the unthreatened expressions where you do not know who the person is, and providing access to information. The next is Digital Radio Mondiale. Mondiale is an Italian term which means worldwide. So it's basically digital radio worldwide. That means you are providing cross-border broadcasting initiative. It's longer, it has a longer range than FM, and it is much costlier than FM, but it uses both the digital and analog method for transmission. The next is Google Glass. Now this is again a unique initiative by Google. Most of you have now heard of it because it has become a bit old. So what has happened is you have a Google Glass and you have a display through which you can see, and finally you have a camera that captures the images and immediately transfers it to your contacts, and you have a board which is a kind of panel of electronics. So you can record photos, videos with the ability to stream it live. This device has a touchpad camera and a display, and it has been built up or developed by Google. The next is IPTV. IPTV is a new generation of television that communicates through internet protocol. The basic idea is that it is having a dynamic or a kind of two-way interactivity rather than the previous televisions which have single-way interactivity. So the viewers have more option to personalize, interact and control the experiences. It comes with three components, where the one is where the content is encoded or decoded. The next is the delivery network and the setup box. So based on the various internet protocol, it is sensitive to the packet loss. These are the countries, the top regions of the world. You can see the United States, Europe, parts of Russia, China and India, where you have the IPTV that is in circulation. So that is how the IPTV works. You have the broadband TV channel through which you have the set-top box that come, and finally this is the set-top box which provides the signals to the television. The next is K computer. This has been developed by Japan. It is considered as one of the fastest supercomputers. The company that developed is the Fujitsu. It was active since 2011. It is known for distributed memory architecture, and the performance target that could be achieved is 10 petaflops. The next is Param Yuva 2. It's an Indian supercomputer launched in 2013. It's a kind of improved version of the Param series of supercomputers in India. It is meant for all-round development, has capacity building and used for advanced researches in bioinformatics, weather forecasting, seismic activity detection and so on. The next is ambience intelligence. Now this is again a unique term after the term of artificial intelligence. So it's different from artificial intelligence. Ambience intelligence is an intelligence that is through the electronic devices that observes, records and analyzes the response to the human environment. So it has an ability to model the user behavior. It has much broader interaction between the human beings and the digital information that is being used. There are three components: ubiquitous computing, ubiquitous communication and the user adaptive interface. Ubiquitous means throughout the world, so it's all over. So it's universal computing, universal communication and a user adaptive interface. It is nowadays used in the smart homes, so you can smartly interact with the residents. It's also used in health related applications where patient can have their activities being monitored. Nowadays coming up in the transportation and traffic systems as well. The next is virtual reality. Virtual reality is a scenario where you create an artificial condition which looks very similar to the real scenario. It requires hardwares as well as softwares. So the hardwares include Google's gloves and earphones that are inbuilt with the sensors, and it enables people to deal with the information more easily. Places where it is used is mainly education and the virtual reality exposure therapy, which is used to treat the panic and the anxiety disorders in medical sciences. The next is digital snooping. Now this is again a very important term of common nowadays. This is spying on someone's personal data. So it can monitor both the private as well as the public network for the passwords and the data. So what happens is, you have the attacker that attacks the software program, reads the data. If the password is encrypted, it decrypts the password, uses various algorithms for the same. Once it has the password, it can either steal the computer or manipulate the data. To control this, India has launched this portal which is known as National Snooping Program under the Central Monitoring System or the CMS of India. The next is cryptography. Crypto means hidden. So communication can be either secure or insecure. So what this cryptography technique does is, where the actual message is sent, it jumbles it into some special text, and that text is known as ciphertext. So you have the ciphertext which is the kind of jumbled text, not the original text. This ciphertext is sent to the network, and if someone sniffs it and intercepts the message, the exact information would not show up. So what he needs to do is, he need to decrypt it to plain text to understand the information. So there are two types of cryptography that works. One is the symmetric key technique and another is the public key technique. It's mainly used in internet banking, mobile ATMs, ATM transactions, online bankings. Now what is encrypted? So emails, your Facebook, messengers, WhatsApp, so all these are encrypted. The next is RoboEarth. RoboEarth is a kind of World Wide Web application for robots. It allows robots to interact globally on the same platform. So it has two parts. One is the RoboEarth database. So this allows the participant to have a common community to share their data or the environment. The next is the RoboEarth Cloud Engine, which is known as the Rapyuta. So this is a kind of open source platform as a series framework which is designed for the various robotic applications. The next is webcast. Similar to a broadcast, you have a webcast. This webcast is in digital format and occurs through the internet, where you can have the audio and the visual files that could be transmitted. So for broadcast you need analog communication, however for webcast you need digital communication. Webcast streaming can take place for various e-learnings, webinars, seminars and conferences. In 2014, Election Commission used the webcast technology to have a monitoring over the proceedings of the election, the live election in the remote areas and the far-flung areas. The idea was to curb any kind of, bring into notice any kind of unforeseen activity that takes place at the boothing poll, and it also was available to the public for the general elections. The next is semantic web. It is the web of data. So it provides a common framework that allows the data to be shared and reused across the applications. It is about the common formats for integration and combining the various data. It is also about the recordings of how the data is related to the real world. So basically helps to exchange knowledge and information. The next is Ethernet. It's a local area network architecture which was first developed by Xerox company. It either uses bus technology or star topology. We will talk about this later when we will talk more on the computers. So it supports the data transfer up to 10 Mbps and performs switching of data at regular intervals. The next is cyber squatting. Cyber squatting is another very important term of in news of days, because cyber squatting basically what it does is they acquire a domain name. So for example whatsapp.com, so that is acquired, and then they deal with WhatsApp saying that if you want to purchase the same domain you would have to give a certain profit or give a certain money. So it's basically kind of fraudulent activity that works around. Similarly, this happens for the Facebook profiles of the celebrities or the important persons. So similar kind of works have happened. Twitter and Facebook have made strong regulations for the same, and few countries like United States have laws for regulating cyber squatting. The next is Cyber Swachhata Kendra. It is for bootnet cleaning and malware analysis. So bootnets are the kind of network of private computers which are infected with malicious software without the knowledge of the owner, and you have the malwares which are kind of malicious softwares which disrupt the access to the computer system. So both of these are worked under the Cyber Swachhata Kendra. This was launched by Union Ministry for Electronics in India, operated by the Indian Computer Emergency Response Team, that CERT-in. CERT-in also is in news recently, so it's very important to know about it. So it was under the section 70B of the IT Act 2000. Again, besides this, there are three other applications that are known. Yeah, that is USB Pratirodh. So it's a kind of desktop security to protect the USB storage devices threat. The next is App Samvit. That's a desktop solution to protect, allowing the installation of the genuine applications through whitelisting them. And mKavach, that is a mobile application for to protect against the threats in mobile. The next is terahertz transmission technology. This technology has been developed by Japan. It's a next generation system where you can digitally transmit the data 10 times faster than 5G mobile networks. So you have a kind of very good speed of 105 gigabytes per second. So it has basically high data, rate minimum and latency communication. So these three are the primary objectives of this. The next is SAW. SAW is known as single actuator wave robot. It is very tiny 3D snake-like robot and can visualize the digestive system in real time. The next is new Wi-Fi for super fast connectivity that has been developed by University of Netherlands. This is based on infrared radiations and it's 40 gigabytes per second. The current Wi-Fi comes for the radio signal which is only 2.5 to 5 gigahertz. The next is EI. EI is a pilot project by Government of India for electronic surveillance. Now for this surveillance you have cameras installed along national parks which have a power of 360-degree rotation. They can alarm if there is a kind of specific situation if required, and they also have the capability for night vision. The first of all, it was installed in Jim Corbett National Park to track animal movement, check human trespassing, avoid any kind of animal poaching, to protect their habitat and for better planning of the national parks. The next is Crime and Criminal Tracking Network System. This has been in news of recent and is very important, the CCTNS. This is a mission mode project under the National E-Governance Plan of Government of India in 2009. It provides a kind of integrated framework for efficient to enhance the effectiveness and good efficiency. It facilitates collection, storage and retrieval of the data and helps in online tracking. So of the records you have Andhra Pradesh and Tamil Nadu which have the highest number of installations so far. The next is Digital Addressable System. This is a group of hardware devices and related to a software system for digitization, mainly for the broadcasting of cable networks. It is an integrated system which sends the message in encrypted form and focuses on good quality signals with minimum distortions. The next is One Nation, One Grid, One Frequency mission. So till now there were 5 regional grid systems that were prevalent in India. Now the idea is to synchronize all these 5 under one head. So first of it was done in 2013. In the southern region was connected to the central region, that was through the Raichur Solapur transmission line, and that after that you had the project One Nation One Grid and One Frequency mission that was released. So all the 5 regions would be connected under one head and would be synchronized. The next is Super Ball Bot. This is a kind of robot which has a tensegrity structure. Now when left on the other surface of, let's say, any other surface, it would roll on like a ball and then open up the airbag and come out as a parachute from 100 kilometers. So it bounces onto the planet, as I said, deforms into the roll and goes into the location where it wants. So it is known for its interlocking rods that are present in it and gives itself the rolling motion whenever required. The next is Barbo. This is the first made in India industrial robot. It is also known as Bravo robot, designed by the Tata Motors in Pune factory. It's used for low cost power transmission and it is fitted with rotatory joints to have movements, certain movements that human beings can have. Now robophobia is a common term that has been in news of recent. Niti Aayog has been working a lot on it. So robophobia means fear due to automation or fear due to robots coming up. As a result, you have the IT industries that would be affected, where you would have a fear of job loss, and that has again been termed as an IT tsunami. So there has been a kind of lot of job loss predictions for IT industry. The next is Seabed Resident Event Profiler. This is a robotic platform developed by NIO. NIO is the National Institute of Oceanography with its headquarters at Goa. It has 3 other regional offices at Cochin, Mumbai and Visakhapatnam. So it basically researches on monsoon, global climate and upwelling effects. This was first tested at RV Sindhu Sadhana. The next is Cyber Physical Systems program developed by Department of Science and Technology. So it focuses on 3 things: self-driven cars as done by Google and Tesla, autonomous unmanned vehicles and aircraft navigation system. This would be a kind of Make in India project with a project cost of nearly 3,000 crores. Similarly, similar efforts were done in United States in 2003, where there was National Science Foundation that was launched. The next is Bharat QR code. Now Bheem app was one of the apps that have been released of recent. Similarly, you have the Bharat QR code which has come up, and that would have the QR code, that is the camera readable code, which is known as quick response code, and it basically has 360 degrees, it's omnidirectional high speed reading and can store up to 7089 digits at a given time. So this Bharat QR code is the world's first interpolable system that has been launched by the government of India for a last cash economy in India. It has 2 versions, static and dynamic. So for the static, you would just scan and then you would enter the amount. For a dynamic, every time a new QR code would be generated. So these are the 2 versions of it. It has been launched with the National Payments Corporation of India in collaboration with Visa, MasterCard and Amex, that's the American Express. The next is, so with this we cover the class on expected questions on computers. We will be covering more classes on expected questions for science and technology and the basic sciences in the upcoming lectures. Stay tuned. Have a good day ahead.